Number 7. While everyone drools over Hemis and 409s, Ford's Mercury division quietly dropped this brute under a few very lucky hoods. The basic engine was Ford's new 430 cubic inch Mel V8, a big, smooth luxury motor meant for Lincolns and fancy Mercurys. But someone in Dearborn clearly got bored with being smooth and decided, what if we make it a little crazy? The result was the Super Marauder package: higher compression, a wild aluminum intake manifold, and 3 two-barrel carburetors sitting proudly on top like a chrome crown. In full song, this setup was advertised at a jaw-dropping 400 horsepower, a huge number for 1958, and often credited as the first American production engine to officially hit the 400 horsepower mark. Of course, 1958 was also a recession year, big cars were getting heavier, and America was maybe not ready to daily drive a luxury brick with a race motor. So the Super Marauder 430 stayed rare, mostly found in top-line Mercurys like the Turnpike Cruiser and Park Lane. Number 6. On paper, Ford never sold a Boss 429 Cougar to the public. Those wild semi-Hemi 429s officially lived in the Mustang for NASCAR homologation. But over in Lincoln Mercury's performance office, some brave souls looked at the Cougar and thought, why should the Mustang have all the fun? So Ford contracted its favorite skunkworks shop, CarCraft, to build just 2 Boss 429 Cougars as factory-backed race cars. One for drag legend Dino Don Nicholson and one for Fast Eddie Shartman. To cram that gigantic 7-liter shotgun into the Cougar's engine bay, CarCraft had to stretch the distance between the shock towers and drop the front suspension. The result was a pair of brutally fast, near 500 horsepower coupes that lived their lives at the drag strip, match racing and smoking slicks instead of hauling groceries. Because only 2 were built, they've gone down as the rarest Cougars ever. One car has been painstakingly restored, the other has been recreated as it looked in period, keeping the legend alive for modern fans. Number 5. In the late 1960s, Chrysler's winged cars, the Dodge Charger Daytona and Plymouth Superbird, were dominating NASCAR races due to their aerodynamic advantages. Ford and Mercury needed a competitive response to these winged Mopars. They planned a next-generation aero car called the King Cobra, based on the Torino with a drop-nose front end. Several prototypes were built, with production targeted to begin in 1970. However, fate intervened. Ford's surprise withdrawal from racing sponsorship in the summer of '69 clipped the King Cobra's wings. Development screeched to a halt, and the dream of a street-legal King Cobra vanished. Only a handful of prototypes survived. Mercury's aero car project trailed behind Ford's, and when the plug was pulled, just 2 prototypes were completed. Today, only one lonely Cyclone Spoiler 2 prototype remains, a testament to what could have been. Number 4. Technically, it wasn't a production model at all, but a one-off concept built to preview the 2003 Marauder sedan and test whether anyone still wanted a big, old-school American convertible. Mercury rolled it out at the 2002 Chicago Auto Show, essentially a heavily reworked 1999 Crown Victoria on the Panther platform turned into a 2-door topless cruiser, the first full-size Ford family convertible since the early 70s. Under the hood, they dropped in a supercharged 4.6-liter V8, making about 335 horsepower, backed by an automatic transmission. The whole thing was finished in sinister black with monochrome trim, darkened lights, 18-inch wheels, and Marauder embossed across the rear bumper. The concept did the auto show circuit, stirred up plenty of "please build it" comments, and then quietly remained a unicorn as Mercury launched only the 4-door Marauder sedan. Number 3. In 1972, Mercury redesigned the Montego on a new body-on-frame chassis and turned the once separate Cyclone into a hidden performance option package, available on the Montego 2-door, Montego MX 2-door, and Montego GT Fastback. The Cyclone package itself was serious stuff. You had to order either the Q-Code 351 Cobra jet, or the N-Code 429 4-barrel, plus functional ram air through twin hood scoops, traction lock limited slip, special striping and badges, early dealer literature showed this Cyclone option proudly, but later printings quietly dropped it, which helps explain why only 30 Cyclone package Montegos were built for 1972. 29 of those were Montego GTs, and just one was a Montego MX with the 351 Cobra jet, our elusive Montego MX Cyclone. So this car combines the more comfort-oriented MX trim with a genuinely hot Cobra jet drivetrain and the full Cyclone performance kit in a one-of-one configuration that makes even hardcore Mercury fans stop and blink twice. Number 2. By '67, Mercury's midsize line had shuffled its names. Comet 202 at the bottom, then Capri, Caliente, and Cyclone on the same Fairlane-based chassis. The Capri was the nice one. Extra trim, better upholstery, proper carpeting. Basically the one your uncle bought to look respectable. Into this sensible mid-level model, Mercury quietly stuffed Ford's fearsome 427 cubic inch FE side oiler V8, the same architecture used in NASCAR and Le Mans. In this application, it was the W-code version, a single 4-barrel carb, officially rated at 410 horsepower. Mercury built just 60 of these 427 midsize cars in total, split across 202, Capri, Caliente, and Cyclone bodies, primarily to meet NHRA's 50-car requirement for drag racing eligibility. Of those 60, 51 were R codes, and only 9 were W codes. Just 6 of the 60 were Capris, and only one of those 6 Capris received the W code 427, making this particular car widely regarded as the single rarest Mercury ever built. Number 1. Back in the mid-1950s, when Detroit was dreaming up wild laboratory cars, Mercury built one of its strangest creations, the 1955 Mercury D528, later nicknamed Beldone. Unlike the glamorous show cars that toured auto show halls, this low-slung 4-door hardtop was an in-house experimental mule, developed around 1953 to 1955 as the design team's 528th project to test new ideas in seating, lighting, air conditioning, and crash-friendly front frame design. Under its copper-colored fiberglass skin sat an experimental Ford Y-Block V8, all riding on a 120-inch wheelbase. The car also wore a pillarless hardtop profile and a reverse-sloping, electrically operated rear window, often credited as the first of its kind and an ancestor of Mercury's later breezeway glass. The D528 stayed behind the scenes until the early 1960s, when it went to Hollywood, was rebadged Beldone, fitted with remote control tricks by customizer George Barris, and appeared in the Jerry Lewis movie The Patsy and several TV productions.